Bullying is repeated, unwanted, aggressive behavior towards another that involves a real or perceived power imbalance. The three types of bullying are emotional, social, and physical. Bullying causes fear and feelings of worthlessness. Bullying is listed as one of the reasons why families choose to home educate their children. And to discuss bullying in more detail, I've invited Sorietha van der Westhuizen to the lounge. Sorietha has 4 sons, 3 of whom she's been home educating for the past 3 years. The eldest is 20 and the youngest is 12. Now, Sorietha, what is your experience with bullying?
Lots. My eldest was bullied in high school to such an extent that kids would come to me in my shop and say to me, they don't know how he survives because it's so severe. He never spoke about it. I heard it from other people. Because being in school, he didn't want his mom there all the time. And yes, I went to the school, I spoke to the principal, I spoke to the teachers. The teachers really tried, but there's not much they can do. But then the one day in hall, it was close to the end of the year of grade 8. Got into the car, my child is in tears and he's got this big red mark at the back of his neck. So I said, what happened? No, one of the kids punched him in the back of his neck, but millimeters from his spine. So I wrote a letter to the school. I spoke to them. I first went and saw them, took him to the doctor as well to make sure that everything was okay. One of the children's mom came to the house and said to me, the child saw what happened, because what actually caused this kick or smack against the head was because Ross had asked the child behind him to stop kicking his chair. And but as I said, this has been the whole year, all kinds of bullying. Ross asking the kids to be quiet so you can hear the teacher, which didn't go down well. He wanted he was at school to learn. The people in his class was not. And he couldn't cope with that. So in the end of the day, he became a target. And after I wrote the letter to the school, I went and saw the Department of Education because I knew the person that was in charge of our area for DOE, and wrote a letter to them as well. And the whole story, in the end, it took us 2 years to get him to a school in another area, another vicinity, which was a 2-hour drive there and an hour drive back. And for grade 11 and 12, he managed to finish in that school without bullying. But the damage was done. So then we sent the second eldest to the school here. And also, he is a very meticulous child, and it's right or it's wrong. So if the teacher tells you you must count the number of balls that you throw through the hoop, he counts the exact number of balls. And if somebody would cheat, he would tell the teacher. It didn't count in his favor, so they started targeting him about that. And the teachers even gave him a hard time because sadly he also took them on when they didn't do what they said they would do. And that made life difficult for him to the extent that at that stage I was driving with Ross on a daily basis. So my mom was in charge of Nash. And she came to me and says to me, listen here, this child is having a hard time at school. I found him crying in his room after school today. Find out what's going on. I didn't bother going to the school. I wrote straight out a letter to the Department of Education. I got no response. Took my kids out of school and started homeschooling.
So, let me just ask. What would be an appropriate response to bullying?
Get it in writing. It doesn't help talking. You talk until you're blue in the face, nothing is being done. They come back to you, but even I can show you pages and pages of WhatsApp messages between teachers and myself to try and sort out bullying. It didn't make a difference. I've still got it on record.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I wrote letters and it still didn't help. So I took it out and I took it further. Nash was on antidepressants. He was on not anti-anxiety medication to be trying to cope at school. Within 3 months of homeschooling, he's a different child. He can handle difficult situations. He was the one that handled the morning situation. So he makes the choices, he makes the phone calls, and he's able to do it for a child that was diagnosed with severe anxiety.
Yeah, removing him from a stressful environment
Made the difference.
Yeah. So how can parents help their children to heal and to be able to face bullies in the future? You mentioned now that taking him out definitely helped with his anxiety.
It does help with his anxiety. Sadly, you cannot change somebody else's. It's not, yes, you give them the tools. For instance, with Ross, I learned to pick up the signals, and I would say to him, people don't like that type of thing. Don't do it. For instance, don't tell the child that's kicking your chair, he's kicking your chair. Ignore it. Sadly, because some kids are censoring, they can't ignore it. And it gets to a stage where they have to and say, after 10 minutes, listen, please stop kicking my chair. But sadly, bullies will carry on kicking for half an hour if it needs to. And that is what our kids can't handle that. Or my kids can't handle that. I can't handle that.
Yeah, it seems that whenever you are slightly different to what is accepted as the norm, you become an easy target.
Yeah, very easy target.
And it's almost as if society is not willing to embrace differences. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that we have to equip our children first before we send them into difficult situations.
That's what I did, because my children were in play therapy. The amount of money that we spent on therapy before they went to school to make sure because Ross, you couldn't even put in a spa trolley and go shopping because the noise from the wheels on the tiles drove him that he couldn't handle it. So he was put into play therapy with loud music, with everything to desensitize him. Yes, it helped, but it didn't fix it. And that stays there for the rest of their lives. I'm 50 odd years old. I still get to a certain time of the day when noise becomes too much. You learn to cope with it, but when somebody carries on and carries on and carries on, you have to respond, because that is your built-in, security blanket. It's your built-in safety mechanism. Because otherwise you will go over.
So you decided to home educate and you've seen amazing differences. Is home education a surefire way of ensuring that your child won't be bullied or maybe won't become a bully?
No. Because you still get into environments which you are in. You get to spend time with other people. So, yes, there's also bullying. You've got these strong personalities will always go for an easy target. You can't avoid it. It's life. Yeah. You don't want to actually avoid it because you need to get into those situations to give them the tools to when they get into a similar situation in the future, they know how to respond. The big difference between home education and school is with home education, most of the time you're there. You see it happening, you can respond. Yes. When you're in school, you're the afterthought. And most of the time you don't even know about it. So you can't fix it. I've had it. My youngest is a bit of very strong-minded and very strong personality. And I've had to keep him from bullying his own brothers and bullying other children in an environment. He doesn't realize he's doing it. He's just standing up for himself. But sometimes he's standing up. He's standing up, in my view. You're being rude now. You're not being a nice person. And you can actually tone them down. One of the things is he would find fault with his older brothers, which is not actually it's just, I'm jealous of what you've achieved. Now I'm going to find fault with something in your personality. And that has to be stopped. That happens on a daily basis. You've got to step in on a daily basis and say, God, that is now not very nice. But was he in school? I would have had complaints from teachers, I would have had complaints from mothers, and I would not have been able to teach him in a gentle way.
Yes.
Not to do it.
Yeah, because as much as we need to teach them math and reading and geography and science, we need to teach them the social skills.
Don't be rude.
Yes.
Plain and simple, don't be rude.
Yeah, and when you play, don't hit someone against the head.
Yeah, luckily physical has never really been a problem in the house, even with 4 boys. I think I can count on my one hand and how many times they've got physical with each other. But verbally, yes, there's a lot of competition.
Okay, so for you, bullying was not necessarily your main reason, but it was a big motivator for you to start with home education. Yeah. What did you consider before you started home educating? Or was it we need to act now, no planning?
With Ross, I tried special needs schools and to try and get him out of the normal environment. Nash has got similar problems to what Ross has in the sense that he's anxiety and he's got dyspraxia as well, but not as severe that he will end up in a special needs school, although the special needs school would accept him. So with him it was either I home educate or I put this child through hell of another 4 years of school. Actually, Ross came to me and said, Mommy, Nash hasn't got such a strong demeanor. He's not going to survive in the mainstream school. And that made me make my final decision. And that was the beginning of Ross's matric year. I gave him the choice, do you want to carry on at the school or do you want to come homeschool? And there was a girl involved, so...
Then mom's not that high on the order.
No, and the school won.
Yeah.
So he finished his matric and without any, what he called help, he managed to get it on a full-on matric certificate. Nash is now doing his GED, which I'm still negotiating. He's now scared to write his first exam. He's ready to write his maths for GED, but he's not mentally ready to write it. So I've sort of said to him, okay, February is due date. We're going to be taking a 6-week break now, and then in January, early January, we're starting and preparing to write. February it's maths, a month later the next subject, because he's actually done all the work. He just has to write their exams.
What was what did the rest of the family think? And your friends, did they think you were just being an overprotective mum, or were they supportive of you home educating?
Well, your mother is normally the biggest struikelblok. I can't think of our English word now. And my mom was 100% behind me. My husband was not that keen in the beginning, and he believed in school at home. I went into homeschooling with the idea I first need to find my feet. I'm not going to buy a curriculum, I'm not going to spend money, I'm going to follow my children. Which I have actually done even before they went to school, and I didn't realize it's called homeschooling. So I just, at the end of the day, I got to know my kids again. I know when something is happening, when something is not right. I can actually show you on my phone this morning, I WhatsApp the boys and ask, is everything okay? And 10 minutes later, I got the phone call that they have a little bit of stress. So I have got the built-in sixth sense, seventh sense, whatever you want to call it, when it comes to my children. And that's always been there, even when they were at school. So homeschooling was probably, it's just the relationship I've always had with the kids. So it came easy, that when school wasn't looking after, when school wasn't safe, because there's no other way. That was actually my words to my letter to the Department of Education was, I don't feel the school is a safe environment for my children again. And that was also the letter that went to the high school before I took Nash out and to the department. So they knew from day one, I am taking them out for safety reasons.
Yes.
Because they're not being looked after.
Yeah.
So.
Final question. What advice can you give parents who have a child that's struggling with being bullied or maybe even being a bully?
Get to know your child. That's the main thing. My youngest too has got tendencies to bully. If I look at videos when the second youngest one was a baby, we're permanently telling him not to hurt his younger brother. It's on every single video. So that tells me already he has got the tendency, with a stronger personality, to be a bit harsh on people. So just be alert, just be open to your child's feelings. Either way, it doesn't have to be them being bullied, but also them bullying. And also know yourself. Because children that are prone to be bullied has normally got parents that either were bullied or that were bullies as kids as well. It's part of our makeup. So it's actually knowing yourself.
Well, I must say that is a big benefit of home educating, is you get to know yourself.
Yeah.
And it is through the interaction with your child that you can see, oh, no, he's watching me very closely.
That's the one thing. I see so much of my husband and myself in my children every single day. Yes, you don't love everything that they inherited.
You can't leave the bad bits.
But yes, you actually see that it's such a warm feeling when you see the good side.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, Sorietha, thank you very much for sharing something that's really touched your heart, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.